Michael, it's just a couple of days on since we spoke after the Livingston game. How has the boys reacted in training over the last couple of days? How have you tried to pick them up ahead of Aberdeen on Sunday?
No, the boys have been great. We watched over the game again for Tuesday, and I like to try and go through the positive stuff. I think, as I touched on all night, first half was eachy peachy. There wasn't a lot in the game, albeit they were 1-0 up. But second half, I seen the reaction that I was looking for, and more positive in their play, and getting that after Livingston, and we probably created chances off the back of that. So I just try to reiterate that to them this morning. Training again today was really good. Tempo was really good. Boys were at it, and it just gives me food for thought getting into a massive game on Sunday.
We spoke after the match about the game against Aberdeen, how it's another chance for us to go in and really express ourselves against a Premiership team. Is that what you're emphasising to the lads, just that opportunity in front of a good crowd and a good stadium against a higher league opposition to really go and show what we're all about?
No, you've got to. I think whether you're a young lad or one of the experienced ones, these are the games you've got to look forward to. Other than Celtic Rangers, you've got to look at Aberdeen as one of the bigger clubs in the country. So I think it will be a good atmosphere. I know we're certainly bringing a large number as well, so that's important for the lads, and hopefully we can feed off the atmosphere, and the younger ones experiencing it maybe for the first time, show no fear, and go and express themselves, show what they're all about, and ultimately it's a cup game, we're in it to try and win it. There's no getting away from that. On the flip side of that, we know how difficult a task it will be. That irrespective of their form just now, they've still got a lot of quality, big squad, and they'll be able to get their season back on track as well. So it's got the makings of a really good game, but one, we want to put our best foot forward and try and get the next round.
Prior to you doing your media duties this afternoon, you had the opportunity to be presented regarding VAR and what that presents on Sunday. Just your overall thoughts on Dunfermline's first opportunity to be involved in a game with VAR. What kind of challenges does that potentially present you and your team?
No, I think as a normal football fan, you see VAR and you see the decisions. Ones they get right, ones they get wrong, and there'll always be mistakes. I don't think it changes much for the players. You've just got to focus on your job and task, and if an incident does happen, you hope that that the officials get it right, whether it's in the VAR room or on the pitch, because ultimately that's what it's there for. It's there to try and make our game better and pick up on the errors and the mistakes. So we got a briefing on it, and it's a first time for many of the boys in terms of VAR, but you can't really focus on that. You've got to focus on your job, and if a decision is there to be made, you hope, as I say, that they get it right, and the game it runs smoothly.
When the draw was first made, we touched on the fact that that Jimmy Calderwood had just passed away, and that it was almost a fitting draw for the next round. Both clubs are looking to remember him this weekend ahead of the game with tifos and banners. Is that something that, again, as players, as the manager, that we could look towards and say, well, if we show that same success that Jimmy brought to both clubs, we'll get that same respect and love back in the future? That must be a real burning ambition for anybody that's involved in football.
No, definitely. I touched on it there with the press lads as well. I didn't know Jimmy. I think I maybe came across him once in my really younger years, but by all accounts, and speaking to people at the club, he was larger than life character. And when I think of him, I think straight away. I think of Aberdeen. I think of Dunfermline. Growing up watching football, and as I said, it's a really nice touch for both clubs, and very poignant that we managed to draw each other in the cup. So all that said, I think it's important once the game starts and everything's been and gone. It's important that we go and try and as I say, go on the front foot, and you never know. Try and make these kind of occasions a special occasion. But it's a here and now, and we understand how difficult a game it's going to be. So yeah, it's nice for a tribute to Jimmy, and hopefully it's a good free flowing game of football, and both teams are going ham on tongs to try and win it. And at the end of the day, when somebody goes through the cup, it will be a nice touch for him as well.
In terms of squad availability, Archie Stevens missed out on Wednesday night through being cup tied, but I believe he's back this weekend, albeit Connor Young, I think I'm right in saying, is still cup tied in this competition as well. In terms of injuries, is Josh Cooper any closer to fitness? And also Matty Todd missed out on the squad during the week. How's he doing?
In terms of the two lads, Archie comes back into the squad. after missing Tuesday, of course. Connor Young, you're right. He played earlier on in the competition with Edinburgh City, so he misses out. Matty Todd picked up an injury on Monday just before the game. It's his hamstring. He's been scanned and assessed, and we're hoping he's not out too long. It's just been unfortunate for Matty, really, because he was due to play on Tuesday and picked up an injury really late on. But that's what happens, and that's why you've got a squad of players to step in and be ready. So in terms of Josh Cooper, he trained this morning. He's been out for a few weeks, so it's important to look after him, and we can't really rush him back into the squad. So that one we'll assess over today and tomorrow, and then other than that, the squad's ready and fit and trained well and with a real intensity to training this week. As I said and I touched on at the start of the interview, it's a game we want to really get our teeth into and try and get through to the next round.
When I spoke to you last week, we were clarifying the situation with Reece Breen, and since then he's went back out on loan to Annan. Sam Fisher, Craig Whiten and Taylor Sutherland have also made loan moves. How do you view their progression by going out on loan till the end of the season?
Well, obviously Big Breeny, he'd already been at Annan first half of the season and done really well, so they were really keen to get him back, and I just felt he had to continue playing his football. It's the same with Sam Fisher. I had a good conversation with him, and my squad's big. You can see that my numbers are big, and I think it's important people play games. So we made the decision with Sam to go and join Stenhousemuir on loan, which is a team that's flying high. So he'll want to end the season well with them. In terms of Whitey, I had a good chat with him, and it was just a good, honest chat in terms of going forward. And the hard part for Whitey is because he's recurring injuries. He can only train certain days, so we touched on him kind of going part-time and seeing how his knee is and going forward. So again, Montrose, I know Stuart Pearson really well. It's a good side, and they'll have their aspirations to go and try and climb that table, and White will certainly add to that. So in terms of young Taylor as well, he's going to be out getting game times. He needs that. He needs to learn the game and understand what we're expecting from him come next season. So for all the ones came in, the other ones have went out, it's important now I settle the squad down and go with a group that I believe can go and try and win games and continually keep trying to improve, which I've seen over the coming weeks. I still feel there's more in the group. It's up to me and the staff to get every ounce out of them coming out of the business end of the season.
The transfer window's now shut, but the domestic loan window is still open. Would you expect any further ins or outs, or are you pretty satisfied with where the squad is now?
No, I like any manager, you always want to push and try and get more and dare I say better, but you need to be careful as well, because there's a lot of good players in the building, and I think just kind of putting a lid on it, and you never say never. Something might happen, other players might want to play more game time, so that's a conversation for a later date. But right now I'm focused on the lads that we've got in the squad, to push each other, even the ones that aren't in the squad, to go and push them, and that just drives standards every day. I've touched on that with them at length since I came in the building, that it's the pressure's starting to heat up a wee bit now, and it's up to the ones to stand up and be counted, and show that they want to have a future here, but also want to play continuously in this team, because I demand a lot from them, and it's up to them to handle it.
You've been backed heavily by the new owners. The club's been great to you since you've came in, getting the squad rebuilt to the way that you'd like it. So you must be really pleased so far, and that message must be emphasised to the supporters about how much you've been backed in the early weeks in your tenure here.
No, definitely. Look, the owners have been great. Before I even was in the building and the chats I had, that we had to try and get strength and depth in the squad and players to come in and add competition and quality. They've done that. Now it's up to me and the staff to try and get the best out of the lads. And we've just got to keep pushing forward. Irrespective of what's happened, in the past, it's important that this club, tries to, I've said before, put its best foot forward and demand. I'll certainly demand for them, but they need to demand for each other and play to their best, and it's up to us to guide them. But once they're over that white line, it's up to them to, be bang at it and bring their best performances going into the business end of the season when it really matters.